believe mistakes were made in this case the department can learn from?
We absolutely could do better as a system, absolutely.
A year-long investigation uncovers blind spots in the way Colorado investigates domestic abuse.
There's mental abuse.
A blind spot that proved fatal for one Colorado mother.
I'm gonna be looking at an empty bedroom and Ty's old clothes and Ty's old toys.
Tonight, Denver7 gets an exclusive look at the changes being made to prevent another tragedy.
There are ways in which a person can experience that violence that is less seen and known. The whole system, how can we do a better job?
Ty Tesorero's father murdered him 1 year ago this month. Ty's mother told us she would never stop fighting in his memory.
And tonight, following a year-long Denver7 investigation, the state is creating a task force to deal with cases like the one that ultimately ended Ty's life and to make sure history never repeats itself. Here's Denver7 investigator Jennifer Kovaleski.
So this is like when he was born in China. I kept his vaccine records.
911, where's your emergency? I got an email saying that he's gonna kill my son.
When the abuse doesn't come with bumps and bruises.
I know he's struggling inside.
By the time you finish reading this, I will be moments away from joining me in the afterlife.
It's harder to spot.
Anthony Lone Tree Police Department.
There was domestic violence that was being ignored.
Before it's too late.
He is dead, and so is Anthony.
No, 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 no.
It was too late for Jing Tesorero's 10-year-old son Ty. Ty left us suddenly, just a year ago. His father, who was also Jing's abuser, killed him. Her ex-husband, Anthony Tesorero, then took his own life at their home in Lone Tree. All of it just hours after a judge told Anthony he was going to lose custody of his son, a convicted abuser with one final act of control.
I just feel like either way, he wasn't gonna give up easily.
It has been painfully real for Ty's mother, who a year later finds herself free from the cycle of abuse.
I'm not being harassed anymore. Be able to feel safe leaving the parking garage or walking on the street.
But it came at a great cost.
The hole is never gonna be filled when you lose a child.
Our year-long investigation uncovered a court system that for 15 months failed to hear a mother's cries for help, and a child welfare agency ill-equipped to tackle domestic violence.
I feel like DHS standard in general is not to protect the children.
Colorado's Department of Human Services was heavily involved in Ty's case and launched its own investigation, a top-to-bottom review that is now complete and leading to more calls for change.
The whole system, how can we do a better job?
The state's child fatality review team put Ty's death under the microscope. It found a systematic gap in managing domestic violence abusers when the violence is coercive control rather than physical.
Really what we see now is that domestic violence looks different than what it may stereotypically look like of a battered person.
It's Mina Conan's job to do something about it.
It could be that we need to strengthen our caseworker training around domestic violence.
She's the director of the Office of Children, Youth, and Families.
Do you believe mistakes were made in this case the department can learn from?
We absolutely could do better as a system, absolutely.
The review found an open DHS assessment at the time of Ty's murder, 1 prior case, 5 assessments, and 22 referrals to social services in just 3 years.
What is the department doing to prevent another tragedy like this from happening?
Changing our practices if necessary, offering additional training.
The team behind the report is made up of caseworkers, law enforcement, and lawmakers. Their recommendations have helped create a task force that will change how Colorado responds to domestic violence within the child protection system.
We need to look more deeply because of the trends that we are seeing around domestic violence in child abuse and neglect cases, that we need to act.
The report is also recommending better communication between family and criminal courts and a law change to Colorado's Children's Code. It would define domestic violence and parental alienation as prosecutable forms of abuse and neglect.
If it truly does not meet the statute of child abuse and neglect, we can't act upon that.
Cohen says the task force will meet for the first time on September 22nd, a date that comes with meaning for Jing.
It's hard to think about the time that, when he's in the middle.
It's just one day after the year anniversary of her son's death.
I'm gonna be looking at an empty bedroom and Ty's old clothes and Ty's old toys.
A mother still grieving and still clinging to that empty bedroom.
That's gonna be there.
But holding out hope the abuse she and her son had to endure comes out of the shadows.
When they're under abuse, it's not bruises, bumps, and injuries. There's mental abuse.
The work group will develop recommendations within a year. Lawmakers are also considering a bill to create a dedicated family court system. It would better train judges on issues like domestic violence. A similar bill didn't make it through last session because of the pandemic. I'm Denver7 investigator Jennifer Kowaleski.
The governor is working with state leaders to get high school football players back on the field this fall.
This comes after rallies, petitions, and the threat of lawsuits from players and parents who insist that fall football is a necessary part of the high school experience.
My message is football season is needed. Like it's something that a lot of people rely on. Fall sports, it needs to happen in the fall. If it happens in the spring, rosters are going to be full. All the seniors miss out on their opportunity.
The governor tweeted tonight that he's working with CHSAA on a new variance for football, spirit, and several other sports. And CHSAA sent a similar statement just a few minutes after that. They did not give a timeline, but the governor did say this during an afternoon press conference.
The window's still open for the additional fall sports that had been talked about, football, field hockey for women. I think that if not every district is ready to do those, but I think many are.
CHSAA said tonight that it's working to survey its entire membership before moving forward. We will stay on top of this through the weekend and bring you any new developments on the Denver7 app for your smartphone.
Denver Public Schools will begin bringing some lower grades back before the end of the month. Now, originally the plan was to remain remote until mid-October. So under the new plan just announced tonight, kindergartners and some first and second graders will be back in class September 28th. And Denver Public Schools badly needs custodians. They told us today there are about 70 open positions, in part because the job is more difficult this year.
They have a lot more diligence that they have to practice as far as how often they're cleaning, how often they're disinfecting, bathrooms, high-touch surfaces, classrooms, and so the need is now greater for more custodial staff.
One facility supervisor told us custodians are spraying high-touch surfaces about 5 times more often this year.
Westminster High School announced this afternoon they are shifting to online instruction through September 24th. 3 people at the high school have confirmed cases of COVID. More than 100 students at the school are in quarantine. The district says because of the large number of staff in quarantine, the best option is to move to remote learning for now. The governor said today he will, quote, likely extend the state's mask mandate for another month. It's set to expire this weekend without executive action. The data indicates our mask mandate is working. Colorado added 300 new COVID cases today, which keeps us on the same plateau we've been on since mid-July. We have not seen any major spikes in almost 2 months.
We have some new video for you tonight showing 2 Wheat Ridge police officers making a house call after reports that a student was brandishing a gun in his virtual classroom. It wound up just being an airsoft gun. No charges were filed, but it's a good reminder that even in a virtual learning environment, teachers are taking students' health seriously. In this video, you can hear the officer telling this young man that school officials only call police because they were concerned for his safety.
Rocky Mountain National Park rangers are hoping for a miracle. This weekend, they will battle heavy snow and cold temperatures as they search for a 24-year-old who went missing more than a week ago. Tonight, his brother spoke to Denver7's Eddie Guajardo.
He's the kind of guy that can go anywhere and make new friends, and I mean, that's part of his charm.
Sean Garrison describes his little brother, Stephen Grunwald, as one with nature and always on the hunt for a new adventure. It's what brought him to Colorado.
He's an ultramarathon runner. He's a mountain climber. He's smart, loves nature.
On Thursday, a friend reported Stephen missing.
My mom's not doing great. My sister's not doing great. We're just trying to kind of hold in there.
So here's a timeline. Stephen's family last heard from him on August 28th. Rocky Mountain National Park rangers believe he attempted to summit the Glacier Gorge Traverse on August 29th. On September 10th, he was reported missing. The search began on September 11th. 11 days since he was last heard from.
Already, we're behind.
Kyle Patterson, a Rocky Mountain National Park spokesperson, says the snow, high winds, and poor visibility are making the search difficult.
But about 8 to 10 inches of snow and very cold wind chills and temperatures.
The trail is 19 miles long and summits 11 peaks. It's considered extreme.
He's had a lot of survival training.
But his biggest worries?
My brother's starved to death. He's hurt, and there's nothing I can do.
The family believes Stephen was hiking with someone named Chase.
Anybody that may have seen him to notify the park rangers. He's very friendly, so they may have even talked to him.
Addie Guajardo, Denver 7.